Hi, welcome back to Comics to Movies. Sean unfortunately can't make it today, but we're still going to forge ahead. We've got two really cool guests to come and join us today. There's Lucas and there's Mark. I'm going to bring them aboard. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Hey!
Hello.
We can't get rid of you, Mark. You know you're Australian.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think I figured out why you asked me to come on. It's because A, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Scotland, and B, you can never shut me up. So it was either have me on board or I just harassed you consistently over Facebook. So.
I've also seen you on a lot of the Shane streams as well.
Yes.
We should just make you Australian. Come on, let's stop.
Oh, hey! Let's not get too carried away here. Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, you probably do want me on board because New Zealand at the moment is playing in the World Test Championship final for cricket, and I'm sure you guys would have loved to be there, but our guys are playing for you. So
hey, you left New Zealand. You're Scottish now. Come on, it's over. You can't claim everything. You can't claim Australia, Scotland, and New Zealand. You gotta pick one.
I can try.
Oh, look, it's really good to be back. Look, a bit of housekeeping, though, is this is one stream that we're going to have now, but we are going to take a short break over the next couple of weeks. We are coming back, though, for Lucas's Angry Squad. So I'm going to share the screen really quickly. Give me a sec. Share. Let's see if this works this time. Because I
can act it out if you want, Stephen. Maybe.
There you go. So it's working now, I'm hoping.
Hey,
cool. There it is.
So the main thing would be Lucas's Angry Squad is coming towards the end, I think the 22nd of July.
That's correct. Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the link out, but I'm going to give you the 2-minute pitch of why people should hit that note. I have already. You can see I'm saved, but why people should hit that notify button.
Sweet. So Angry Squad, this is the next installment after Code Angry, which I launched on Kickstarter last year. Now with this installment, basically Angry Fred and his team are back. And basically what happens is a past lover rocks up from Angry Fred's life, and basically him and his team have to set out and basically stop a deluded soldier who is a guy who's come back from the dead, who used to run with Angry Fred during the war. And this deluded soldier starts wreaking havoc across Las Vegas. So basically I'm pitching it like a 1960s Elvis movie. The heroine's fate will be decided by a car race through the desert at the very end of this film. This comic book. Sorry, I'm just so much into filmmaking, it's not funny. Through the book. So yeah, it's we've got all the lovable tropes of the first comic book. Especially Gary the Gorilla is going to come back and make a bigger appearance than he did in the first installment. And there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of high octane car chases and that sort of thing, and obviously a love interest, which I'm introducing for the first time into the book.
Okay.
Lucas,
like fun.
Yes.
Lucas, I love how you do it. It's a one and done project, but you're creating a greater world as well. If you connect the other books as well, it's brilliant.
Yes, it is. It's interesting with this bookmark. It doesn't necessarily follow on from the last one. Like there could be a story. There is actually a story in between the first one and this one that I'm releasing soon. So I can very well go back and sort of fill in those gaps as well. But yeah, each world has its own sort of theme and process going on. So obviously new characters and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to say a quick hi to the chat, and more importantly, is Moira in your book? Have you gave her a cameo somewhere?
She keeps pestering me. So there will be a reward. There's 2 rewards in this campaign where you can get yourself in the book if you wish, and be next to Angry Fred or be in the background. So yeah, Moira,
I think buy that. Moira is on track to have more comic appearances than most characters, I think.
Yes, I'd agree.
Okay, and Sassy Gal as well. Well, thanks for joining in. I'm sorry Sean couldn't be here, but I'm really glad you're here. Adam, hi.
Hey, Adam. Yeah, I know Adam. He's my friend. Yeah, Adam. Yeah.
And Kieran, hey there.
Chris.
Hello. And of course, this is to you. This is for you.
Gary, yeah, Gary. Actually, interesting enough, Gary's going to be eating a lot of pizza in this next book as well, and he's going to be lazing around playing video games. But that doesn't stop him from getting out there and getting into the thick of it, into the action. So be prepared, everyone.
and Mandeep, it's we're absolutely trying to. I'm not going to mine already, so. I'm just trying to make the other guys sneak her in as well.
Yeah.
She needs to be
unfortunately, mine are already drawn, so we're out of luck there. So,
but in a future issue, she could be in the background somewhere. So
absolutely,
So I'm trying to make sure that she's in every book. Everybody, Darren. Look, I'm sorry, Sean couldn't be here, Darren, but hopefully we'll get him back really soon. And Moira, of course, is not yet, but of course we're working our way to it. And I like Jackie. Hey, thanks. I hope you had a good supernova, Jackie. I've been seeing a lot of really, and you do need to get an artist alley table. I haven't talked to you about this yet, but Jackie is a phenomenal. What he does is a lot of photorealistic art. Get a table. And okay, so before we jump to the Edge of Tomorrow, because this is actually something which I've always wanted to do for quite a while, and it's actually one of my absolute favorite movies. It's one of actually it's actually really clear cut, and we can discuss this, but I think it's actually really clear cut on the act breakdowns is really clear cut, and I always thought the A and B story, and we'll discuss what A and B stories are, is also pretty clear cut. But before we jump to that, we do have something that, as a project that me and Sean, actually is our first collaboration. I'm hoping this one doesn't stuff up because it did stuff up last time. So it happens. It's a live show. These things happen. You know that. We don't pretend to be supremely professional. You know, we do our best.
Well, that's why you got me here, to fill the dead space while you spend dead air while you spend half an hour trying to find the file you're trying to open.
Okay, so I've got it ready, but remember last time it just decided, nah, not gonna play for you. The only way it could have played is if I shut down all the browsers, which meant I get off air, which defeats the purpose of being on air. If Sean's watching this, he's going, what have I done? He's probably thinking, let me try this one. I'm going to stop the screen. Let's share. Okay, so the screen turns up, so that's a plus. Last time it didn't even show up. I'm going to hit the play button. Hopefully this one works. And fingers crossed.
Earth is a distant memory, and humanity now lives aboard the space station Terra Olympus. I'm senior engineer Mia. This is my first time outside the station. Things have a way of going wrong. Our expedition craft has been boarded. I'm not a soldier. I just fix things. The intruders aren't afraid, but I'm shaking, holding a blaster for the first time. The fate of Terra Olympus depends on what happens next.
It worked. It actually worked.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, did the sound come through? Nobody said anything, so I was hoping.
Yeah,
Yes, it did, yeah.
I deliberately muted myself. I know what I'm like. So.
Oh, fair. Look, Terra Olympus is a science fiction. Basically, the Earth is gone and humanity now lives aboard this one space station. It's actually really good because for the first time, I think we've actually got past the setup stage. So in volume 3, and I'm going to share the link, and I hope anybody who's would like to see it when it goes live, please hit the notify button because in this one, actually, we have a lot of fun because in this particular Kickstarter for Volume 3, there's no new characters. It's the first time in 2 volumes there's no new characters introduced because it's the big conflict scene. So I'm actually really, really excited. It's taken 2 volumes to get up to this point. So each volume is about 48 pages. So it's basically taken 4 issues to reach the point where it's going to be fun. So there's the setup's done, and it's just now the conflict. So if you haven't already, I've shared the links through. Please do hit that notify button. We're thinking of either a mid-July or maybe a late July launch. We haven't quite figured it out yet. There's just a lot of things in the background we're trying to figure out. Trying to figure out what makes the most sense.
And we all know Stephen goes on about this quite a lot of the pre-launch notifications, but it is absolutely really important for everyone. Lucas's project, Stephen's project, my projects. The earlier you can get on board, the earlier we can get started with our projects with confidence that we're going to do well. So, and share the crap out of everything.
Oh, and that's talking slight Kickstarter news in the background as well. So there's one thing which I've been sending this one suggestion, and I've actually got a little bit of feedback. They said it might or might not happen, but one of the things which I really like to see, especially since the both of you make ongoing projects, is that would it be really cool if you can flag a project as an ongoing project? And it's very comics is unique in Kickstarter because a lot of other projects in Kickstarter aren't Volume 1, Volume 2. It's here's a board game, here's a different board game, here's a bike, here's a thing. It's not that much. Here's 1, here's 2, there's 3. This doesn't fit that way. But what I've made a suggestion to them is hey, look, if we made all this effort to get all these followers in Volume 1 or Volume 2, would it be really cool is if they opt in, and to be really fair, if they opt in, then they automatically flow into Volume 3 and any subsequent. And the thing is, you can even link it so that, for example, Mark, if you launch a new property, Kickstarter could say, hey, look, this isn't this land. So this land followers don't automatically jump. You've got to earn that again. But would it be nice for this land followers to just make the jump straight across? I've made the suggestion. The feedback I got when I made the suggestion to Kickstarter was they dislike doing stuff like that because it feels that you might spam somebody. But I would say, look,
I tell you what, it already feels like we're spamming the crap out of people. If we're being perfectly honest. It is a hard thing to do. But I think, again, if they have an opt-in, opt-out option, that's for the best. And as you know, a project that you may have done years ago, you can still send those folk messages. So it's always hard to find that balance. And we all back up other projects as well. So it is very difficult to find that balance of how much new information you send out. And a lot of the times, if you haven't got that in the header, it goes straight to the bin. So, it is a tough situation, and I saw a very good quote out there, someone explaining about independent comic creators like us. The reason we spam and shout out so much is because we're not Marvel or DC or Disney or Warner Brothers or Time Warner or whoever the hell owns them now. We are our own marketing companies. So if we don't talk about ourselves, nobody will. So it's not a vanity thing. It's not an ego thing. We have to do it. So it's tough.
I agree, and all I hope for is if any people who back our projects here, if we do it too much, just let us know because
let us know.
We're fallible.
I might listen.
Okay, now it's actually the fun part of this because this is a bit of writing theory. So this is actually very much for the comic creators out there who actually do listen to the stream to get a bit of comic knowledge. And I'm actually really excited about this. Let me just share this one thing. And I'm on a roll. I haven't crashed the system once. I crashed it with you, Mark, if you remember. I haven't crashed it one single time yet. Okay, this, in a nutshell,
it's a loading screen. Oh, there it is.
there you go. It's a very, very, it looks really, really simple, but in the basis of storytelling, this is very powerful. there are different acts. Like there's different writing styles. For example, a lot of Japanese and Chinese type movies use a 4-act structure where there isn't a central conflict or even a central resolution. It's a very, very different story writing style. So there are 4-act structures on the rest of it, but if you do follow a lot of Hollywood and a lot of more mainstream pop culture and etc., they all follow this three-act structure. First act is the setup, second act is the conflict, and act 3 is the resolution. Just really quickly, the A story is usually the main story. It's what happens and what drives the plot along. The B story is actually something a bit more thematically exciting. I always find the B story more exciting than the A story, because the B story is the one that has to kind of hold the A story to account. So look, in a lot of action movies, the B story is usually the love story. It's the love interest story.
Yep.
And I always found that type of B story a little bit boring. And so that's why in Edge of Tomorrow, there is no love interest. Tom Cruise, Cage, doesn't care about Emily Blunt in a romantic sense.
We'll agree to disagree on that one. But carry on.
In a romantic sense, I don't think, or at least it was not really pushed. Okay, and I'll let you grab that one after I finish this. After I finish that, I'll let you grab that one. But it wasn't really that pushed. But thematically, it's really good storytelling, because what tends to happen is if you write a story where this happened and then this happened and then he walked here and then he walked there, he did this, he did that, she did this, she did that, it actually makes for a very boring story. It really does. That's where the B story is the one that has to elevate the A. And thematic, and in terms of a story crafting, it's harder to write the B story by a huge margin than it is to write the A story, because the A story is something happens, big bang, resolution. The B story, man, you gotta kind of sort it between the gaps. Before I'll throw it to yourself, Mark. I think you're chomping at a bit. What do you think about Edge of Tomorrow? And they are going to be spoilers, so if you haven't watched the story, it's been out for too long already. I don't.
Yeah,
care.
How long is it? It's
2014. So
so it's too long. You haven't seen it. It's going to get spoiled. But Mark, what do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting because the B plot, as it was, is also a motivator which pushes the story forward as well. Because you get about halfway through the story, he's, the slogan from the movie, live, die, repeat, live, die, repeat. You get to the point where they get through the beach, they're on their way with the camper van blowing away in the back on the car. They're heading towards the farmhouse with the helicopter so they can fly to where they suspect the Omega hive mind is. And that's actually the quietest moment in the film, where you actually get a bit of backwards and forwards between the heavy metal B. I can't remember exactly what they call it, but and Cage is Tom Cruise's character. So there's a quiet moment there where they actually have a little bit of a backwards and forth, and she's only known him for a day and a half still, but he is still figuring her out and revealing a lot, that he knows a lot more about her and her background and some of her secrets that she didn't think she would actually reveal. And that B plot, as it will, becomes a motivator, because he sort of gives up and he goes to the bar and he's had enough and he doesn't think it'll work. And then he goes back one more time, and everything he does has to do with keeping her alive. So I think it's a lovely way of the B plot coming in and meshing with the main storyline. And essentially, the only way he can complete the mission at the end is to keep her alive. Now, there's a little of there's a scene where he says he's in the hospital, his blood's getting drained, and he says, "I can't. You go back. You can't kill me. The power's gone."
Yep.
But if you watch the movie carefully, he still has that power. It's a decision and choice that he's made to tell her so they can get to the end of the film.
Yep.
Yeah. I could go on more, but I need you guys to
we need to give Lucas his say. So what's your take?
My take. It's interesting with the A and B storylines. Like when you approached me with contacting me about talking about this on the show, I'm so used to like obviously the acts, 1, 2, and 3 structure. And I totally just blanked on the whole B story when you're talking about it. You started mentioning it to me, and I was interested. Like, does the B story itself, like, does it always happen like in the second act? Is that correct? What's happened here? Yeah.
I know it tends to get introduced in Act
yeah.
2
Yeah.
because Sorry, Mark, you go.
Oh no, yeah, it's always seeded and hinted at the start.
Start, yes.
Obviously, more time is given to it through the middle of the Act 2 and whatnot. So, yeah. But I think in this movie, it just knits really nicely together.
Nicely
by the end of
together.
it.
It tends, like what Mark said, it tends to start in the Act 2. It's when all the characters are introduced, because the setup, Act 1, is you've got all these characters, you've got so much stuff happening that you tend not to get the second plot up. The other thing about A and B stories, and let's talk a little bit of TV, for example. The coolest thing about Game of Thrones, and again, we'll forget season 7 and 8. Let's just for a second. But the coolest point in a lot of Game of Thrones is when the stories collide. So you had in season 1 was Sean Bean's story, before, but up to that point, it's really cool when points started meshing together. And that's in Edge of Tomorrow as well, when exactly like Mark said, when he realized that his job is trying to keep her alive, and the only way to keep her alive is to finish the story, finish the main mission. I always thought that was really fantastic, because that's what prompts him. There's another point in Act 2, and this is a bit more film crafting story. In Act 2, there's always something called the Deep Descent, or All is Lost.
Yeah.
Yep. And at that point,
hero's journey story, Harmon's story
correct.
Circle sort of thing.
Yeah. So at one point in Act 2, usually you have it that everything is crap. And it's usually the B story that picks up from there for the hero to get motivated to go, you know what, I'll give it one more try. And of course, that one more try is the introduction to Act 3. So, Mark, where would you think? I think the drinking part where he realized he couldn't save her, and I think that was his all is lost section.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's another. It's a hard. The structure, because of the time travel, the structure is really interesting, and you feel like all it's lost. It's sort of this. You feel like all is completely lost when he's had his blood transfusion as well. It's like, this is it. If they don't do it here, they're never going to get there. But the truth is he can go back and forth still.
Yep.
But as far as structure goes, that seems like that moment that goes from Act 2 to Act 3. And I'll tell you an obvious reason why he can go backwards and forth is when there's a truck that's driving by, and before the truck even comes in a shot, he jumps to the other side to hide, where they're about to steal the helicopter, and they're walking through, and you see him. Oh yeah, he does the old switcheroo before there's anything hinted at for the viewer, and that's where you realize, oh yeah, he knows what the hell's going on.
He knows what's going on.
Yeah,
he still knows.
In there. Yeah. So
I've got to rewatch for that.
Yeah, I have to watch that too.
But that's the thing. It's so rewatchable. It is so rewatchable for that whole third act to see, oh yeah, there's a lot more going on here. Things like when they're going into Paris and he's not locked. He's the only one not strapped in, because he knows if he gets strapped in, he'll get banged about. Things like him drowning and when he falls in the water in the mech suit, he waits the last possible minute. There's that slow descent of him. He could have got out of that a lot quicker, but he chooses not to.
So are you saying, Mark, then, that does that sort of justify the ending that everyone goes on about, like the way it ends?
No, I figured this out. The way it ends. No, yeah. Okay. So you've got So we're sort of talking. Yeah, we're talking about the plot here. So
that's cool.
He gets a time travel ability by
the blood.
The blood from we'll say you've got your worker bees, and then you've got the mimic, the Omega mimics. I think it was called the Omega.
Yep.
Or was that the big one's the Omega?
No, the big one's
Big one's the Omega.
Big one's the Omega.
Yeah.
So
But he sends out some drones.
He can get those ones that the 1 in 6 million that he got the blood from. That's only a 24-hour reset from the first death, right? And then from there, wherever he dies, he goes back to the beginning of that, still that first 24-hour point. When he gets hit by the Omega, when he blows the Omega up, he gets the Omega blood through him. He goes back 2 days.
Right.
And then as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Because I wasn't sure. When I first watching, I was like, why does he go back 3 days and everyone's alive? Because it's the scale of the hierarchy of the hive. So the Omega could go back further than the initial one. So as soon as you realize that, it's like, oh, shit, it makes sense.
I've got to ask you this, and we did hint on this before, the love interest. I say there isn't any. So I said it was professional, and look, it's. I would say, look,
should have been. It should have been.
He cares for her. Don't get me wrong. I think he cares for her, but not in a romantic sense. Your thoughts?
I would argue that unfortunately he absolutely cares for her. I felt like that before she ran off in the car park, she kissed him, and I thought that was forced. I didn't like that. I didn't think she shouldn't have had that romantic attachment to him. But he certainly has. This is probably, and we don't know the kill count, the woman he spent the most time with in his life.
True.
There's probably more of a romantic attachment from him, and then his whole driving motivator through the rest of getting to the end of it was to keep her alive.
Yeah. So like little things like not getting her to go on the helicopter and knowing that there's mimics in the, being at that point so many different times, I suppose hones that in. Yeah. But I just, I know what you mean, Stephen. It feels like there's not enough there for it to be a love. A connection.
I would not. I'll say this. It's not there is romantic attraction, and there is, look, we want, we care. We don't want her to die. But I would say in Cage's case, he looks at Rita as like older sister, a big sister, or some. I think it's more that.
Do you know how old Tom Cruise is?
Oh, do you know how? Look at the people he's dated. Katie Holmes was like a baby when he picked her up.
This is going down a whole other.
Maybe we'll be good. but I see it much more as because it's a change of relationship, and that's actually a lot of the B story. B story is actually a lot of relationship maturity and change of character perspective. So when he first started, she knew everything. And he didn't. She was the badass angel of death. Angel of death, I think. Yeah, she was. The one who
the heavy metal, full metal B.
Full metal B. Yeah.
Rhymes with witch.
we don't want to get our stream cut, so we'll be good. But after a while, it switches. Suddenly, he's the one going, I'm going to shoot here, duck here, look left, look right. And I think he trains. So even if he knew what was happening in the beginning, even if he knew what was going to happen, he still wasn't good enough to dodge something. Like he knew I think one of the earlier scenes, he knew the blade was coming towards him, and he still couldn't move fast enough. And he broke his leg. And it's going, but it takes a while for him to get better and better and better. Groundhog Day-ish, he kept repeating the day. So eventually, I think is really cool, is they switch roles. So she was the mentor, and he was the one learning from her. And after a while, it was, I'm teaching you, and you better keep up with me.
Yeah, and this is where I say we're talking about the love interest thing, because his motivation moving forward was actually keeping her alive, not actually finishing the war. Because for as far as he knew, he would be going through this cycle forever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah. So for him, it was like, how do I... So then why does he go find her at the end? Surely that sparks some deeper internal feeling. Yes! I think, and that is... And he is actually seeing her earlier... When he walks at the end, when it cuts off.
It's back to training. She's training, She's
training, but I don't even think that's the same point of time that he used to, because he's gone back 2 days rather than 24 hours. So, there's definitely more there. and she's the only one who will ever understand what he's been through. So there's two things here, but we could argue about that all day long. But how does this work in comic books? I think is important.
How's it work in this light? And since
don't talk about me. Talk about Lucas.
Let's talk your story then, Lucas. No spoilers if you don't want to give it. But
this is very interesting because in Viva Los Angry, I have introduced a love interest.
There you go.
I think just without me even knowing what I was doing when I was writing this, I had it sort of planned out that Angry Fred and his squad, their main operation is to go after this deluded soldier. But I've brought in this love interest. I basically brought in this love interest to basically get more deeper inner feelings of what actually is going on in Angry Fred's mind. To push him forward. And I guess in some ways it's kind of like a Bond film. When Bond, James Bond, he's always out fighting the bad guys and so forth. You never really get to feel what he's doing when he's doing that. But then they always introduce, whatever Bond lady he's got by his side, and you kind of get a little bit more sense of what's actually going on in his mind in that respect. So I guess in a way that's kind of like the A and the B.
Emotional resonance.
Emotional resonance.
Yes. I don't know.
No, that's definitely the B, because that's definitely the B story, because the B story doesn't always have to advance the plot. It actually helps the plot along. So hypothetically, damsel in distress, and I'm going to use the Elvis, the Elvis tropes or whatever. He's going to have to do something to either win her back, save the carnival, what it is. Sing a song, win the talent contest or something like that to win the girl at the end. But it's always, why does he do it? It's because the B story built up something along the lines of it's worth his while to do it, because it gives that emotional connection to it to go. If he just did it because, why not? It's not the same resonance as he did it because of all the relationship that was built up in the B story.
So would you say, so say for instance, there's a character, he's going on an A story, right? He's got a specific goal or whatever, mission in mind in the A story, but can the B story influence his decision-making in the A story, completely change that? Yeah.
It's absolutely meant to. It's not only is it, can it should.
It should,
because, and that's where a lot of those, trope subversions happen, is where you, as the reader or the author or the viewer, you think it's going to pan out a certain way. And then because of something that happens within the story, it pans out slightly differently. Bond, unfortunately, is too formulaic. But imagine if a Bond story goes, you know what? I'm not going to be a spy anymore. I give up. I just give up halfway.
And I think the last couple of Bonds have certainly pushed that. Spectre and what's the other one? Tomorrow Never Dies? No, the names are all blurry. What I tend to do, as far as when we're making looking at writing a script, structure's great. And I love my Excel spreadsheets because it'll give me 22 pages, and I can put down Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and I can divide each scene which I need, where the story to move and flow, into 2 pages, 3 pages, blah, blah, blah. Then I can put a list of all the characters involved in that issue, and then I can highlight their story beats through their arc in that issue, that chapter, that mini-series, or if it's an ongoing. There's a really good book, this one, DC Writing for Comics, and it's got a really good segment in here about ongoing series, and it's called the Levitt's Paradigm. And basically, Levitz was formerly a writer of the Legion of Superheroes, which has like 100 characters. So he was always keeping track of those characters and what they're doing. And he was essentially always working. And this was the X-Men. Chris Claremont was sort of like this as well, but he'd forget a lot of subplots. So you go back and try to read some of those X-Men stuff. Unless you grew up with it, it's bloody hard to read, because plot lines you think are going somewhere just never turn up again.
Even the early Spideys were like that. The early Spideys
totally.
had
Well,
Betty
that's a
Branch
lot
was
to,
Betty
that's a
Branch
lot
was
to
his
do
first
with
girlfriend.
absolutely, and that's a lot to do with obviously Stan saying, right, Spidey's going to fight the Scorpion this issue. Jack Kirby or Deodato would go away and draw the issue, and then he'd just script what Woody had. So he was a lot looser in those sense. But you're looking at formats like this. Oh, we're taking a share on screen. Where is it? That way.
Cool.
So issue by
sweet.
issue, A plot, B plot, C plot. So A plot will be 2/3 to 3/4 of the issue. B plot might be a page or two. C plot, D plot might be a panel or two. And then as the issues progress, he would keep track of all the characters and whatnot as well. So Hickman is big on his spreadsheets, and that's essentially what got him the Fantastic Four stuff, the Avengers stuff, his current X-Men run. You do not have to stick to structure, but it sometimes helps to develop a roadmap. And usually if I want this to happen to these key characters, it really does help you push people in certain directions and ultimately end up in the place you want to be. And you can take them on these side emotional journeys and stories as well, while they're still following the main plot. Does that make any sense?
Yep. Absolutely. Perfect sense. I have to bring up this comment though below. Lucas?
I think the love interest is Moira. She's just in love with Gary. So,
Okay, and we've got a couple of questions, so we'll bring them up, open that. So I 100% agree with Gazigal. 100% agree.
Yep. Yeah.
But there's a couple of questions. So I'm going to throw it up, and you guys can answer it. Look, this one's an easy one. I'll feel this one. Rom-coms. So rom-coms, the love story is the A story. And the B story is this plucky little girl who wants to become a fashion designer. And that's the B story. So rom-coms being the romance is the main one. So a lot of romance novels, they do make the romantic interest. That's the story. You want to see the happy ending. And she just happens to become, the world's greatest fashion designer at the same time.
I would argue, and I'm just looking at my bookcase here, I would argue The Vision by Tom King and Gabriel, can't remember, Walter, the Vision miniseries. I would argue that's a love story because that's him building a family and a life for himself. So
WandaVision, I would argue the same thing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So WandaVision, it's a love story, but she just happens to warp reality at the same time because why not?
Yeah.
Okay, another question, and I'll throw it to both of you guys.
Totally.
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you might play with them for a bit and find out, they might not be going anywhere, but you can use elements of what you've done with a character to inject into another character. Again, that's ongoing. I'm talking specifically for ongoing series. Us three are basically, I've got a mini series, and you two you have series that are, what would you call it, small graphic novels? 58 to.
Yep.
What's the term for that?
Yeah. What's the term?
Mini trades or something.
Mini
trades.
It's about 60 pages.
Bang for your buck. That's what it is.
That's of course. And thank you for the sales pitch, but of course.
Yeah. So but they're all ongoing universes. So I think we all three of us can agree we can have ongoing storylines within those that can slowly develop over time. And you would write it as such as you didn't need to know everything, but once you put it all together, it makes for a greater story. You would have seen these characters' journeys from A to B, A to Z. Yeah.
Mandeep, I will use Supernatural as an example here because I know you love Supernatural. Your profile picture gives it, and I love Supernatural too. I loved it when they had this little side story about Castiel. When Castiel had this little side story, and you find out that who Castiel really inhabited. He had a daughter and all the rest of it. I love those because it made him seem just so much more real, so much more human. And it was brilliant. And I loved it when they did all those little side plots of the side characters. As much as I love the Winchesters, man, when there was a tangent story, I ate those all up. What do you think, Lucas?
No, I agree. B stories are a good way of developing any character, I guess, and like delving into other themes and so forth. Like I was thinking the other day about Jurassic Park actually, and just like looking at like how that plays out with Sam Neill's character. How he's this uptight paleontologist who wants to change the way people think about dinosaurs and so forth, and like just the way they use that when they introduce children. He doesn't like kids, but he had to. By the end of the thing, he had to save these kids. He had to have a great relationship with it, and I guess that in itself, you've got Sam Neill trying to deal with that and trying to be a father to these kids, I guess. But then you look at the way the kids react to him at the start; they're always poking fun at him and playing games. But then they have to trust him now. Have to follow his lead because he's the.
It's nice. It's nice to see. It's nice to see you've got New Zealanders on the brain. Well done.
Yeah. Is he in New Zealand? He's actually he is. Yeah.
No,
he lives here, doesn't he?
We've claimed him though. I think we've claimed Sam Neill. We've claimed Russell Crowe.
No, you can have Russell Crowe.
Every New Zealander says that to me.
We have some Castiel fans and Grace, welcome along. Thanks for jumping in. And of course, everybody loves Castiel. He was only going to be, for people who like Supernatural, he was only going to turn up for like 4 episodes, and he got such good response. It's like Breaking Bad. Jesse Pinkman was meant to get killed off season 1, but
really? Wow. Oh, I did not know that. Sorry.
Yeah, so he wasn't meant to survive the first season, but he had such a great reaction that they thought, if we kill him, it's such a waste. And I'm really glad they didn't, because in the end became Walter White's conscience in the end, which I love.
Yeah. So when you're talking about comic books and adding elements that could potentially, like Castile went from something to nothing, there are plenty of things in comics that people say, you tell an artist, I need you to draw this sword above the fireplace because that may come back in 3 or 4 issues down the line, sort of thing, and you might not know what that sword's going to do, or you might have a cool idea for it, but that's a callback further on in your journey. So I've tried to do that with a lot of my stuff. I've seeded bits and pieces that could hint to a greater story further down the line, or I could just leave it and it looks cool and be done with it.
That's interesting. I've done that. I did that in my first Angry Squad comic book. Angry Fred has a specific tattoo on his arm, of his special forces thing, and like I obviously put that there, and there's a little bit of a backstory to that, but I'm exploring that now in this issue. So
it really helps you when you're creating more stories, and just makes them more real, makes the characters more real, and gives them more resonance, I guess. Again, resonance. That's my buzzword.
Emotional resonance.
Who wants to jump on Adam's one first? Adam's your friend, so
yes, he's my friend. He's always got the most profound, tough questions. So it's interesting for me because when I write, I just like outline it out and I just smash it out, and then I go back and then I try and dabble in trying to figure out what how everything sort of relates to one another. So I think it's hard for me to find that sometimes I pretty much, I think I go more on instinct more than structure, actually, to be honest. From my point of view, and
to be fair, we have all absorbed and created so much media that things like the story circle are inherently with us. We do it blindly. And I was talking to my partner the other day, and she just said, we were watching something, she turned around to me, it was a Netflix series, and she goes, that's going to come back. He hid that thing in the ceiling, and that's going to come back at the end, isn't it? And I was like, I don't know, I'm watching it with you. Dead right. And she was dead right, and it was more like she turned around and said, "You've ruined this for me. I can see it all now. Who is the man behind the curtain? And it's just like the more media you absorb and watch, it's harder to get fooled with similar story beats. It's interesting watching movies from the 80s and 90s. The editing is just so pish. I mean, the pacing of some of these things just drag on and on and on. and we're very lucky in this day and age because it's pretty much go, 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 go,
Rings
go.
tight, yeah.
But the structure, it's harder for us to get a real holy heck, that was amazing feel from any TV or movie, because we've seen a lot and we've absorbed a lot, and that's like that and that's like that. So things like Baking Bad, that became must-watch TV, and most of that was around the character development. It wasn't exactly the things that happened. Yeah.
That's actually the term for what you've just said, by the way. It's called Chekhov's gun. I don't know if you heard that term.
Oh yeah, Chekhov's gun. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. It's a and MacGuffins as well.
MacGuffins.
Yeah.
Hitchcock,
I have to say, I hate that, because there was one reviewer who reviewed Terra Olympus, the first book, and in the first one, the main character Mia, she has to save a cat from a fan in one of the opening sequences. And when she's describing something to one of the new engineers, she actually mentions the word fan and how it works. And when he did the review, he just went, "That's a Chekhov's gun," because why would he do it twice? And I was going, damn it, you spoiled my plot for further down, because it actually does come back and play into it. But I don't want him to say that.
Yeah, it's always a fine balance between hammering it over the head and subtly sneaking it in there. Yeah. It's a hard one, and you can't please all the people all the time. So
no, I thought I was being really subtle, and he's going, "The fan will come back up. I guarantee you." He loved the book, but I'm waiting for when the fan will get reintroduced, and I'm going, damn it! It's one. How many? I think there's another word for it. How many plot seeds do you drop in issue 1 when you're doing the setup, Mark? Is your whole issue 1 of this land just plot seeds all the way through? You don't have to tell what plot seeds. You don't have to say which plot seeds they are, but have you dropped a lot of them, basically?
Oh yeah. There's stuff that'll never be touched. There's just way things have been said and phrases and things hinted at. That's I'll know. And I've talked about this before. A lot of the background work that I do was a lot of folders and world building and stuff like that. So I know things are there for a reason and things happening for certain reasons. It makes sense. So, and it'll still make sense for the reader's perspective as well. But then it'll really make sense if the curtain's drawn later on, sort of thing. So again, we're in the business of comic books. We're certainly not doing it to make money. We're doing it because we love it. And, that is a nice to have if I get to that in the future. But, I mean, that's one thing they say to us is, if you're going to do a story, tell that story. Don't do your opus magnum. Yep. You don't do your omnibus style storytelling from issue 1. Just you've still got to tell a complete story within your series or mini novel, which doesn't sound right. It's a novella, some comic novella, maybe.
I'm happy to go with novella because everyone's saying graphic novels.
Yeah,
but I've read Angry Scott, Lucas, so I hope I can spoil a little bit of.
Yeah, go for it. That's fine.
You've actually, I don't know if you really picked it. You've dropped a lot of plot seeds.
I have. Yeah,
which I actually want to see someone eventuate. There was, and again, I hope I can.
Yeah, go for it. It's fine.
There were zombies. There was some secret super soldier serum.
Yes. Yes.
And there was a giant gorilla, which we never knew why it was there.
Yeah, I still don't know why he's there. No, I do.
We don't know why he's on the island. We don't know who put that angry chip on him.
There's a lot. Yeah, I hint at that in the next installment, but they were things that I sort of just I guess like how maybe I did it instinctively like Mark does, but Mark obviously has a better job at what he's doing than I do. But yeah, like I dropped them in as just little hints and didn't even bother explaining them, just as little hints to sort of build, I guess, a backstory behind the character. Maybe if someone did pay attention, they're like, oh, what is that about? Like, will that, be explored or, is it foreshadowing? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's like the trophy room at the Justice League or Maestro, old Hulk.
Yes.
Maestro has Rick Jones has a trophy room of all the dead Avengers and X-Men's, and you like, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? You know, what's that giant penny for? What's that?
Yes.
And you could put in a big, cool trophy room type visual. You don't have to answer it for now.
Yeah.
You know, one of them might come back later, but it's.
Is that kind of like I remember picking up a comic book with like I don't read a lot of Batman and so forth, but there was one where Bruce Wayne's cave had a T-Rex dinosaur statue in it.
Oh,
And I was like, what is that all about? Like, I'd have to go find,
That's always been there. That's always
yeah, that's always been there.
It was there. The statue was there when he found the cave.
All right.
The other thing would be, if you ever get bored, and it's a rabbit hole, if you have time, go watch the YouTube Easter eggs of the Marvel TV series or the Marvel movies. There are people who will watch the movies at 1/4 speed to pick everything up, and they will freeze frame it, going, that look at this date, this time, that links back to here. Oh, we lost it.
Where'd he go? Oh.
I didn't kick him. I said no, before anybody looks at me, he was not. I hope he jumps back on.
I hope so too. Yeah.
But Mark, if you want to come back on, you're always welcome.
Yeah.
But I'll bring Saziko's comment up. Easter eggs.
Easter eggs. Yeah.
He's back.
Okay.
I just want to say I didn't. You won't. I didn't use my admin powers to go, you know what? Let's just go.
So, boom, he's gone.
Oh, you were saying. I don't
know.
Oh no, we were saying some people watch the Marvel things at 1/4 speed.
Oh, you see things like, note how he let go of his sword in one hand and grabbed it in the other because he's left-handed and would have got it. There's some super detailed, weird crap in there. There's some silly stuff that you're like, well, okay, you're reaching for that one, Joe. But there's some very cool stuff. Yeah, that's a whole industry of people making and creating Marvel news and rumors. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I've actually, up to this, I've got the point on all that sort of media with Loki at the moment. I'm just enjoying watching it. I don't want to review it. I don't really want to talk about it. I just want to enjoy it and not find out why that actor who played this is doing that but was over there and blah, blah, blah. Must be the cricket? Might be. Possibly. Hang on, are we back from lunch yet? No, we're good.
Well, I think there's one like this. There's one scene of Loki, and again, no spoilers because this one is still pretty recent, where they show a whole bunch of location and times. What one guy did was, if you take every fourth letter or some weird combination of letters, you spell the word Mephisto. Did you see this one?
Okay, right. I tried to do a weekly Marvel in review thing on my YouTube channel, and I did this thing called Spoiler Theory, where I could tie anything from WandaVision into Mephisto, and I did it for Winter Soldier as well, and then I just got the point of like, I can't do this every week. So if you go to Araha Comics YouTube page, you'll see Spoiler Theory, rubbish Spoiler Theory, and everything ties back to Mephisto.
But I saw that, I laughed because it's like, you circle the letters in this combination, you spell the word Mephisto. I'm like, what if I circle it this way? I get
reaching. Yeah, not everything's an Easter egg. Just enjoy the
just enjoy it. Yeah.
Have you been watching Loki or Lucas?
I haven't. No, I haven't jumped on the Loki train. Sorry.
I would say out of
the ticket,
the 3 TV series that Marvel has released so far, I would actually say it's the most fun one. It's absolutely the most fun one.
It's Tom Hiddleston just let loose, basically.
Cool.
And, he's definitely enjoying it. There's a lot of humor in it, but they're all each their own things. So I mean, the WandaVision is basically a dramedy, more or less. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a spy thriller, and the Loki is...
It's a buddy cop, I would say.
Buddy cop.
Owen Wilson. They play so well off each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's probably very much like Supernatural, actually. Yeah.
Oh no, Supernatural has the brothers and Loki's
we
great.
won't
Great.
spoil it for you, Lucas.
Okay, thank you.
But it's actually worth watching. I would say
Hey,
out of the
but
three of them.
Loki dies.
Oh.
No.
Dear me.
Okay, no
Does
spoilers from Loki.
No, I don't know.
You can't just make stuff up. No, you follow the letters on the time variance code and
Right.
you link it all up.
In fact, if you look at the letters in my name, it spells Batman.
Oh, right. There you go.
Does it? B-A-T. Yep. And some other.
There you go.
Get rid of the extra ones.
Oh man! Look, you got me. What's the
What were we talking about again?
I'm trying to get the words.
Easter eggs, I don't know.
What do you call words where you get the letters and you rearrange the letters to make another word?
There is, I don't know the word for that. No.
Scrabble.
Kind of like Scrabble. I'm gonna have to Google it now. So you guys talk among yourselves. I need to find out.
So what else you been watching?
Interesting trivia on Edge of Tomorrow. The name of Tom Cruise's character, William Cage. So a man stuck in a cage, obviously, Cage. And then the name of Emily Blunt's character is called Rita. And Rita was the name of Andy McDowell in Groundhog Day, I believe. The character that she played.
I love the chat. I absolutely love the chat.
Anagram. Yeah, everyone knows except us. It was the writers. What's that thing where you put it in the?
Oh God, man, we are so useless. I don't know if you remember this, Mark, but you used to be my guy on the chat.
Oh yeah.
It's like, remember this issue where Hulk did this, and then this happened.
I can still tell you.
And then I go, Mark, what is it? And then I just waited for a bit longer, and it pops up in the chat going, "This is the answer."
Yeah, you're not the only podcaster or video cast I've ruined lately. There's one that's basically. I was asked about what I thought about Winter Soldier or WandaVision. I said, "Well, I have a theory." And I didn't know, and it came true. And now, whenever they talk about TV stuff, it's introduced as Mark Abnett's spoiler vision or something, and a big graphic of me comes up doing this, and Jesus, it's a nightmare. But you guys are my number one. You're my number one go-to. I promise.
This is what I do know, Sazigal. Palindrome.
Onomatopoeia. Bang.
So palindrome is a word that you flip this same forwards backwards. Oh man, how does everybody know anagram? And we don't know. And we should know.
I've chosen to forget for this conversation. Just wanted the viewers to get more involved. It was a choice.
We are live. They're not going to believe us.
but it's all we've all planned this earlier on. It's all about structure, and from that structure comes the A and B plot.
And now we have to come to the resolution. So look, we've got about a minute left. So if you guys have any more questions in the chat, please feel free to throw in. Otherwise, we will be wrapping up. I'll explain a couple of admin stuff, the boring bits. But so the main thing would be is if you guys have just jumped on, we are going to take a short break for the next couple of weeks from the show. We are going to come back with Lucas's Angry Squad, and we will be coming back with Terra Olympus 3 when that launches as well. So we'll pick another movie, we'll do another deep dive analysis, we'll have some fun. Look, thank you so much for everybody for joining the chat, and this is an awesome chat. I love that they can give me answers all the time. Anything, Lucas, you want to end with?
No. I'm glad I learned about anagram tonight. I'm very happy about that.
And Mark, anything you want to end with? Or
just very quickly, most of the viewers there have backed This Land 2. It's all out in the mail. It'll be landing Monday, Tuesday in the UK. Everyone else, I have no idea. 3 to 7 weeks. I forgot to get back to you about that, Stephen. I sent them all out individually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like
we had this grand shipping plan that was going to make it easier, but yeah.
Oh wait. wait.
Even yours, Moira. Yes, because Moira actually hasn't got issue 1 yet because she chose to wait for everything to be done. So, yeah, funnily enough, it cost me more money than sending 2 small packages. So I don't know how that worked out, but yeah.
We have a couple of questions.
Sequel.
I don't want a sequel. Honestly speaking, there are some movies I don't want a sequel. Edge of Tomorrow is one of those movies I do not want a sequel in. I think it ended so perfectly when he went to find Radar again.
As long as it's called The Cliff of Yesterday, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Oh wait, there you go.
Hey,
Yeah,
wow.
there you go. Cool.
Brilliant.
Oh, quick side note, Grace, it's on my list. I'm definitely gonna watch Tres. I've seen it. It looks really, really good. Have you guys heard of this one?
No, I haven't actually.
Let me bring it up. Just quickly.
Ooh.
It's a Filipino one. So if you guys, it looks awesome. Let me share.
Oh, it's got a show, an after show as well.
It's on my list. I just haven't had time yet, but it looks amazing. Let me just share the Google results from it. How awesome does that look?
Googly. Yeah.
Let me start zooming in nice and big.
Is it the artist, was it drawn there as well?
It was a graphic novel, comic series, a graphic novel first. It's on my list. I really want to get around to it. Grace, just as a bit of background, look, these are shows. I love horror movies and things like that. My wife hates them, and my little girl's 9. There's no way I want to show any of this, so I have to wait until like 11 o'clock before I can watch certain shows. This is my late night show, if you will. Let's see. Edge, it's already confirmed. The sequel.
Wow.
And look, definitely. Look, I want to see it. It looks really,
looks
really good.
Hang on, I'll pop up over here. Hi.
Let me get rid of the comments because unfortunately, let me bring everybody back.
Well, we've been an hour now, so we're probably wasting some money or something from Sean. But we could go for another hour. Probably has to upgrade to the next level of
StreamYard. Yeah. Okay, look, thank you so much, guys. Look, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. If you check the COMICS2MOVIES Facebook page, and we'll hopefully want to bring these guys back again. So thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody.
And we'll learn more names and stuff.
We will. Yeah, promise.
And we'll learn proper definitions as well, like anagrams and palindromes and all the rest.
Swear to God. Yeah.
And one last one, the Grand Prix starts.
And in you're at 9 down.
Okay. Now it's really goodbye, everybody. So we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
See you guys. Bye.